the class. Hello everyone. Let us continue the discussion about Fourier concepts. In the previous class, we have already seen the Fourier representation, the basic idea behind the Fourier, that is periodicity. So for periodic and non-periodic, we go for Fourier series and Fourier transforms. In that, we have started with the discrete time Fourier transform, whose extension we have already studied in module 5, that is Z transforms. So we have seen the equation for Fourier transform and how to find the inverse Fourier transform. Both equations we have seen, and we have seen two conditions for the existence of Fourier transform, just like the Z transforms. So today, we have started with the properties of DTFT. We have covered, I guess, two properties, probably the periodicity and the linearity. Today, let us discuss with the third property of DTFT, that is time shift. You can just see the slide. The time shift, this property you have already studied even in Z transform also. So out of this omega and n, we are now talking about time shift, that is n value is getting shifted. So if there is a shift in the time of the input sequence, that is x of n is shifted by n naught amount of times, x of n minus n naught, then what will happen to its Fourier transform? So the Fourier transform x of omega, it will be multiplied by some exponential factor e to the power of minus j omega n naught. So that n naught is the amount of shift that has occurred in the sequence. So let us go for the proof for this. We start with the proof. Will be started with the definition of DTFT. This is our equation. We have already seen this. The equation for DTFT x of omega. Input is getting shifted by n naught times. So we will replace this input x of n by n minus n naught, and I will assign that as some signal y of n. So what will be y of omega is equal to, at the LHS, this will be now y of omega summation. Input is shifted by n naught times and exponential term as it is. Then as usual, the routine mathematics, what we will do, we will substitute this n minus n naught by some other variable. You can take any variable. I am using it m. If I substitute n minus n naught as m, and what will be the value of n? N is equal to m plus n naught. So let us put this in our equation. So your summation range is for n. Now it will be for m plus n naught minus to plus infinity. Then x of m exponential minus j omega n. N is m plus n naught. Then this I have directly written as m, because if you take n naught to the other side, it will be like infinity to the infinity value. You are adding or subtracting something, which is again some infinite term only. Hence that RHS remains unchanged. So the variable will be m is equal to minus to plus infinity x of m. This exponential factor, I'm splitting it, e raised to minus j omega m and e raised to minus j omega n naught. So two terms are there. So in the next step, if you observe, I have encircled it. This indicates your, since the signal is x, your Fourier transform of x is this. Okay, because no doubt some variable is m, no doubt that indicates time. So any notation we can use. So this encircled term is your Fourier transform. It is getting multiplied by some exponential factor. So this is about the time shift property of Fourier transform. That is, if your input signal is shifted by n naught amount of times, if this is the shift, your Fourier transform will have one exponential term like this with the same amount of shift in the exponential power. Okay, let us move to the next property, that is frequency shift. It is just like the if you just see, this is a relationship between these input sequence and the Fourier transform. N is your time value, this is your time domain, this is your frequency domain. So just now we have seen this time shift property where n was getting shifted by n naught times. Now we will see the frequency shift, RHS side, where omega is getting shifted by some amount of frequency. So omega is your frequency term, n is your time term. So what frequency shift tells you, if you have this relationship, then if your Fourier transform has a shift, that is omega is shifted by omega minus omega naught, if there is a shift in the Fourier transform, it means that your input sequence is getting multiplied by the exponential term. Both are similar. If you just observe your time shift and frequency shift, both are similar. In both the cases, the signals are getting multiplied by exponential term. The difference is, in the earlier the exponential term was negative, here in the frequency shift the exponential term is positive. That is the change. So let us move to the proof for this. So we will start with say, we know that we have seen this is our Fourier transform equation, how to find the Fourier transform. In general, you can take any signal. I have taken here y, you can take x, z, anything. Now according to this, our LHS, you see your input is getting multiplied by this term. So what I will do, instead of your signal y of n, I will take a new signal which is the combination of these two, that is LHS. This is your LHS. So that LHS, I'll assume it as y of n. So let us substitute that. What will happen? So summation, instead of y of n, I'm substituting this complete LHS part into e raised to minus j omega n. Then summation x, keep it as it is, club these exponential terms. Okay, if you club both, one is j omega naught n, and one more is minus j omega n. So if you club these two, take minus j common, you will be left with omega minus omega naught. That's what is the power. If you just observe, if your Fourier transform has omega term and the exponential term, you have the Fourier transform omega. Similarly, if you have omega minus omega naught in the exponential term, the power term, then your Fourier transform will be omega minus omega naught. It is just analogous to this. Just compare it. Original equation, if you observe, the power is simply omega, so your Fourier transform is for omega. Here the exponent has the value omega minus omega naught, so your Fourier transform is for omega minus omega naught. So this is about time and frequency shift. Then we have the next property, that is scaling. Scaling is multiplying some, you have already seen this scaling part in your module 1 in the basic signal transformations. Okay, scaling is generally multiplying. So if you see the definition of the scaling property, if you have a relationship between the input sequence and the Fourier transform in this way, then if your input is getting scaled by p amount of times, some p, okay, we don't know what is that value, generally it is multiplied by n, that is p is some integer value. If that is the case, then what will happen to your Fourier transform? It will be multiplied by, your Fourier transform will be divided by that integer value. So let us prove this property. We will again start with the definition of the Fourier transform. We know that y of omega is summation y of n exponential term. Now LHS is x of pn. So what I will do, instead of y of n, I will substitute that x of Pn. I will assume y of n as that LHS of your property. So substitute that summation x of Pn e raised to minus j omega n. Then in the next step, substitute this bracket value Pn is equal to some variable m. So what will be, as you know, this summation is for n. So I want n value also. N will be m by p. So that I have done here. N is equal to m by p. With this basics, let us substitute. If I substitute that value here, summation is for n. N is equal to m by p. I have substituted it. X of Pn is nothing but m e raised to minus j omega n. N is m by p. So what I have done in the next step, if you just see here, summation is for m, because if I take p to the other side, infinity is getting multiplied by p, again some infinite term. This is as it is x of m. Now here there is a rearrangement. If you see, e raised to, generally it is like this, okay, e raised to minus j omega n. Now if I try to rearrange this particular bracket, if I try to rearrange this bracket, how will I write? E raised to minus j, we have variable m, remaining terms are omega by p. Okay, here it is generally n, some time variable n, here time variable is m. So if you just observe, in both the cases, in general equation it is omega, here we got omega by p. That's why we can conclude that because we have this in the power, your Fourier transform will be for omega by p. This is about the scaling property. Then let's move to the next property, differentiation in frequency domain. If you remember, even in the Z transform, we have seen differentiation in Z domain. If you remember, d by dz of. And we have used that property more frequently while solving the problems also. So it's just analogous to that differentiation in frequency domain. Here I am using the word frequency. There we have used Z domain. Here the frequency will be omega domain. Okay. So according to the property, what it says, if we have the relationship between the input and the Fourier transform in this way, then the differentiation in the frequency domain d by d omega of your Fourier transform, then what will be your LHS? Your signal will be multiplied by minus j n. I think in Z transform it was multiplied by minus n. If you remember in the Z transform, here it is minus j into n. Let us prove this property. Okay, while again, let us start with the formula for Fourier transform. We know that x of omega is given by this. If you remember, even in Z transforms, when we started proving this property, we started with the RHS, d by dz. We differentiated. We started with the RHS, we arrived at the LHS. Here also we'll do the same thing. As your RHS is having differentiation in the at the RHS, so we will differentiate the given equation, the Fourier transform equation. So we will differentiate the above equation. So d by d omega of x of omega will be equal to, you just differentiate the complete RHS. If you differentiate this by with respect to omega, I have written it here like this. Summation and x of n doesn't have omega terms, so keep it as it is. So omega applies to only the exponential term. So these two terms are kept as it is. What is the differentiation of e raised to x? It is e raised to x only. And what is the differentiation of e raised to ax? It is a into e raised to ax, right? Whatever coefficient we have, that should be multiplied. That's why if you see, for this particular exponential term e to the power of minus j omega n. Okay, what is the wait, let me just rearrange it like this. Okay, because this is your variable now. These are all the constant terms. So what will be the differentiation of this? It will be minus jn into, as it is, jn omega. So exponential terms, the power, the coefficient is getting multiplied. So that's what I have written here. If you observe, minus jn into the exponential term. Now, in the next step, what I will do, exponential, I will keep it as it is, because if you observe your general equation for Fourier, that exponential term is there. Okay. Now, summation is also there. Now, the input we have to decide. For that, what I will do, I will club these two. I will club your minus jn and x of n together, and that itself will be your input. So according to your this equation, what you do, compare this and this equation, your standard Fourier transform equation and the equation which we have got just now. If you compare, your input sequence is changed here. Okay, it is not simply x of n, it is minus jn into x of n. So how we can finally conclude? If you differentiate the Fourier transform with respect to omega, that is frequency, then input will be this. That's what our property says. So this is about the differentiation in frequency domain. Let's move to the next property. See, all these properties are very smaller. Okay, the definition and the proof, and obviously as you have already completed the Z transforms, the proof of these properties will go easy to you, I hope. So I'm just making it bit fast. So the next property is time reversal. This is also we have studied, we have already seen in the Z transform. It was a little bit different there. Here we will get the output different. You just observe here what it says. If we have the input and the Fourier transform relation in this way, x of n is your input, x of omega is your discrete time Fourier transform. Then according to the time reversal is reflection. If your time is n, its reflection will be minus n. So according to the time reversal property, if your input gets reversed, okay, in a time, not frequency, in a time, x of n gets changed to x of minus n, how your Fourier transform will get affected is, even that will get reflected, x of minus omega. If you are reversing the time minus n, your omega frequency also gets reversed. This is time reversal. But however, in the Z transform, the property was a little bit different. Okay, you can just check it after the class. What's the difference? Time reversal here and there. I think there it was something multiplied by Z power. I just go and check it after the class. So let's prove this property. Okay, according to, again we will start with the basic equation of Fourier transform. We know that x of omega is summation x of n exponential term. So what we want now, LHS is the input signal is your time reversed signal, x of minus n. So if we reverse the time, what will happen? Equation will be summation as it is, input is now minus n, then exponential term as it is. Only we are changing the input x of n by x of minus n. So how to proceed further? Simply put this minus n by some variable m or x or l, whatever. Then as the summation has n, what will be n? N is equal to minus n. So simply substitute all these things. If you substitute, summation is for minus m from minus infinity to plus infinity. Why minus? Because n value is minus m. And again, Whatever rearrangements you do, the summation will be minus infinity to plus infinity only. You can ask me why this. End or from this end to this end. Uh, if you just add the points either from left to right or right to left, it doesn't matter, you are adding it all together. Hence, range lower and upper, even if we exchange, it doesn't matter. That's why the summation remains minus to plus infinity, and this is your x of m. Now, exponential term will be e to the power of minus j omega. N is now minus m. N will be replaced with minus m. So substitute that n is equal to minus m, you will get this. Now, in the next step, these two are as it is. A little modification here. If you observe your Fourier transform equation, exponential term is negative. But if you solve this, what we have got just now, if you solve this particular bracket, what you will get? E to the power of j omega m. Actually, we have in the formula of Fourier transform minus, but what we got? Plus. So let us keep it in the negative form only. How to do that? Minus of minus, it will become plus. That's what is done here. If you observe, I have kept that minus j outside, and minus m, instead of minus m I have kept it positive. However, that negative sign minus, this is applied to omega. So anyhow, this minus of minus will become plus. The answer remains unchanged. Just I am presenting it in this way, minus of minus. Okay. So ultimately, if you see, if your exponential power is omega, your Fourier transform is x of omega. Now your exponential omega is replaced with minus omega. So your Fourier transform will be for minus omega. This is a time reversal property. If your time gets reversed, n is by minus n, omega also gets reversed by omega to minus omega. This is about time reversal. The next property, that is convolution. Let's go for convolution. Even this property you have already seen. If you just remember, in the Z transform, convolution in the time domain, you have already seen how to calculate, how to do this convolution by graphical method. You have already learned that also here. But it's a tedious job. Doing convolution in time domain is a tedious job. That's why if you remember, even in the Z transform, uh, this property, what it says, if in time domain we have the convolution, in frequency domain it becomes multiplication. So your calculations will become simpler. So here also, analogous to Z transform, we will learn convolution. Suppose you have two signals or two sequences, x of n and y of n, whose Fourier transforms are x of omega and y of omega. Then the convolution of those two sequences, x and y, if you have that as the input, I have used z of n just to denote this convolution part. Then its Fourier transform will be the multiplication of their Fourier transforms. So similar to your Z transforms, convolution gets changed to multiplication. So let's start the proof. We will begin with the formula. We know that I have used Z because LHS I am using Z of n. So Z of omega is equal to summation Z of n exponential term. I will substitute Z as the input sequence as LHS of the property x of n convolved with y of n. So I will substitute that in the formula. If you substitute summation, convolution and exponential term, now just to try to recall the convolution formula. What formula you have used to find the convolution of two sequences x and y, x of k, y of n minus k. This is for discrete time. If you remember, summation, the variable is a k, small k from minus to plus infinity. Further, what we will do? We will simply substitute summation n range as it is. Instead of x convolution with y, I have substituted the convolution formula. Remaining this exponential term is also as it is. Only the convolution formula has been substituted. So in the next step, if you observe, there are actually two variables. One is n, one is k. So in the next step, whatever k variables are there, the k variable wherever it is associated, I'm clubbing that k summation. And if you observe, just you have x of k, you have y of n minus k, you have exponential. Three terms are there, out of which for k I can use only x of k because remaining two terms has n and k. Okay, that's why for the second summation I will use exponential term and the y of n minus k. So I will just write two summations separately, no doubt one after the other within the same bracket. However, I will associate summation for k those signals which has k value, and similarly for n summation those signals which are having n value, n variable. So in the next step, summation this I will not alter, I will keep it as it is. Here y of n minus k is there. I will substitute n minus k as some variable m. So as summation is for n, if you observe, so I will check what is n. N is equal to m plus k. I will substitute that here. Range, summation range is for m plus k to m plus k from minus to plus infinity, and y of m, because n minus k I have substituted it as m, and exponential term e raised to minus j omega, n is m plus k. Just simple substitution. After that, again this particular part I have kept it as it is. If you observe, summation is for m, because if I take k to the RHS, infinite, in the infinity we are adding or subtracting k, so it doesn't make a difference. So summation is for minus to plus infinity, y of m as it is. This exponential term I will split it. One is e raised to minus j omega m, the other one is e raised to minus j omega k. So now here what we can do is, if you observe, there are two exponential terms. One is with the variable m, other one is with the variable k. So what I will do, the second exponential term which is having k, I will associate here with the first summation. If I do that, summation x of k as it is, and one exponential term, this I have taken here, and remaining all this I have written it as it is. So we have got two summations, one is for k, one is for m, and x of k variable, exponential is also having k variable. Other side we have y of m is the variable, exponential has also m as the variable. Now if you observe this first bracket, it indicates the Fourier transform for the first signal, that is x signal. So the Fourier transform of x is capital X of omega, whatever may be the variable, doesn't matter, n, m, k, that indicates time. Similarly, if you observe the second summation, all terms, it indicates the Fourier transform for the signal y. So Fourier transform is y of omega. So now we can conclude that, we can summarize that, if In the time domain, the signals are getting convolved. Then in frequency domain, their Fourier transforms gets multiplied. You can observe here. So this is about convolution. Let's go for the next property, which is the converse of this previous property. The first property, just now we have seen the convolution property, time in time domain, convolution in frequency domain, multiplication. Now it's reversed. The reverse property, we call it modulation. Okay, that is multiplication in time domain. How? The definition you can just see. If you have two different sequences, x of n and y of n, with their Fourier transforms, x of omega and y of omega, then if these two sequences are multiplied in time domain, then their Fourier transforms gets convolved, reverse. But no doubt we will get certain constant here, 1 by 2 pi, but it's a converse of the earlier property. Multiplication in time domain gets changed to convolution in frequency domain. So it is the reverse property. This property last, we will just check out. According to the definition, again, we will start with the formula. The formula is, I have used Z because LHS is multiplication. I have indicated Z of n. So instead of Z of n, I will take the LHS multiplication of two sequences x and y. If I substitute that in the formula, this will be your equation. Z of omega is summation x into y of n into exponential term. Now, in the yesterday's class, the day before yesterday, which we have started with the Fourier concepts, I have taken this formula. I just recall it. This is the formula to find the inverse DTFT, that is original sequence back. This is the formula. I'll just zoom it. Okay. This is the formula for finding the inverse DFT. If you observe in the formula, I have used omega there. Here I'm using some lambda. Omega, lambda, k, whatever, any notation if you use it here, all those represent frequency. Okay. And here in this side, if you're using k, m, l, x, whatever, those indicate time. Okay, here omega lambda I'm using just to differentiate between this omega and lambda, but no doubt both indicate frequency. Okay, so we will make use of this formula. What we will do, summation I will keep it as it is, y of n and exponential term I will keep it as it is. Instead of x of n, I will substitute this inverse DFT formula. 1 by 2 omega, so sorry, 1 by 2 pi summation, that is integration of minus to plus pi, x of lambda, exponential and d lambda. This is the formula for x of n. So in the next step, again some rearrangements. What I will do, 1 by 2 pi constant, take it outside. Now I'm changing the order of this summation and integration. First I'm taking integration and then inside summation, changing the order of the integration and summation. What we will get is integration, I will keep it x of lambda and d lambda at the end, because integration I am keeping it first. Then inside remaining all terms, the summation, y of n, exponential term, both exponential terms. What I have done, this is constant term, integration associate with this, and hence at the last d lambda, remaining all terms, this exponential y of n and this exponential all together. If we rearrange this much, what we get, one by this as it is. Inside, just club both the exponentials. You will get this. e raised to minus j n as it is. You have this separately. I will just club both, make it omega minus lambda. Okay. So if you club both exponentials, you'll get this. Now in the next step, 1 by 2 pi summation x of lambda as it is. This complete represents the Fourier transform of y of n. But if you observe, the power is, it is not simply omega, because the formula says summation x of n exponential of minus j omega n. If you have omega, it represents x of omega. But if the power is omega minus lambda, it represents Fourier transform omega minus lambda only. So because the power is omega minus lambda, it is the Fourier transform of y of omega minus lambda. Just try to recall, what is this? This is your convolution equation. 1 by 2 pi constant as it is outside. This is convolution of two signals x and y, where I think you have used tau as the variable there. Integration x of tau, h of t minus d tau, t minus tau d tau, right? So instead of lambda, we have, I think, tau, x of tau. Instead of lambda, we have tau. We have studied tau in the convolution. So this represents convolution of x and y. So this is the modulation property, which is the converse of convolution property. So till this much, I hope it is clear to you. We have seen some 8 to 9 properties, different properties, and the last one, you can just go through this. You have studied this probably in mathematics, Parseval's theorem, which is related to the energy of the signals in this way. No need to go for this particular again derivation. Just remember, as and when required, we will deal out with Parseval's theorem. But however, just remember, Parseval's theorem is for the energy of the signal. So till this much, we have completed the properties. I hope everyone understood. Any doubts? If you have, you can ask me. We have, yes, okay, fine. So with all these properties, till this, the theory part is over. From the next, whatever classes are remaining, we will continue the problems on DTFT. Okay, problems to find DTFT, maybe the direct problems, formula based problems, twisted problems, as well as using all these properties, a solution of the problems. So